Okay, we can start the class. So I'll just open the notepad. Fine. So yesterday we actually discussed about scene window. Okay. Then game scene view or scene window, game view, and project window. So we understood how to create project folders in the assets, right? And yeah, so we understood the meaning of scene view and game view. Okay, so scene view is where you actually uh, create the game environment, and in the game view you can see the output. And to see the output, we need the main camera or camera that should be present in the scene. Okay, we can use multiple cameras like movie shooting. Okay, and in the project window we can maintain all the game assets that we need in developing games. So that also we discussed. And please go through the manual or at least watch the videos that I posted. Okay, not our videos, the official Unity videos. Okay, for scene view, for game view, and the project window, I have pasted the YouTube video link in yesterday's notes. So please check that also. Okay, for better understanding of those windows and the views. Now, we need to explain two more windows. Okay, that is hierarchy window and inspector window. So before we see that, we want to explain a few more concepts here. Okay. Fine. Now, just remember these points always because we are going to use Unity Game Engine. Okay. You must remember these points always. The first point is any game or application developed in Unity software is a collection of scenes. That's a very, very important point you should remember. Any game you play or application that you are going to use that are developed in Unity software is a collection of scenes. Collection of scenes. I'll explain the meaning of all these points one by one. Just understand the definition first. Okay. Then what is a scene? A scene is a collection of game objects. A scene is a collection of game objects. We already know what is a scene. We explained that yesterday. Okay. We even know that what is the purpose of scene view. So a scene is a collection of game object. Then what is a game object? A game object is collection of components. Collection of components. Okay. Then what is a component? A component is a collection of modules and properties. Okay. A component is a collection of modules and or properties. So just remember these four important points always. Okay. Any game or application developed in Unity software is a collection of scenes. There can be multiple scenes in a single game or application. Multiple scenes. When I say multiple, how many? The number that we'll discuss. Okay. Then what is a scene? It's all about collection of game object. You will see lots of game object in a scene. Okay. We'll see example for that. Then what is a game object? It is a collection of components. Lots of components. And a component is a collection of modules or properties. So end of the day, components are important. Components define game objects. Components define game objects. So without components, there is no concept called game object. Okay. So we'll be dealing with lots of components and game object throughout the Unity learning and development. Okay. This is very, very fundamental concept. You should understand what is a scene, then what is a game object, then what is a component. Okay. Then how to create and manipulate game object. So these concepts are very fundamental and important concepts. Okay. Now we can actually add and remove components from a game object. Game objects can be used to design game environment in scene view. Example, if you see the smart city scene, okay, in the smart city scene, we have lots of 3D models. Let me open the scene. You see, this is the scene window. This is actually smart city scene where I can see multiple 3D models, okay, in the scene window, arranged in a way to create a city environment. Okay, the buildings, trees, roads, okay, and there are so many other things out there in that particular scene. So all are 3D models, but they are actually called game objects. They are game objects. Okay, whatever you see in the scene window is a game object. Is a game object. So a tree is a 3D model, but it's a game object. It's a game object. Building is a game object. Road is a game object. Okay. Everything you see in the scene window is a game object. That's a very, very important point. That's what I told you here. A scene is a collection of game objects. The game objects can be mostly 3D models, or 2D images, Okay. Then what is a game object? Collection of components. Just select any one game object in scene or hierarchy. Then you can see the collection of components in the inspector window. For example, check, I can zoom and select one tree here. Using your mouse, just click on the tree. It means you are selecting the tree. That particular tree is highlighted in the hierarchy window that you can see here. So when you select a particular game object in scene window, that is also highlighted in the hierarchy window. Then what about the components? Check in the inspector window. There are multiple components in the inspector window we can see. Okay, starting from transform component. Okay, you can click on this small triangle to minimize the transform component. Then mesh filter, mesh renderer, mesh collider. So there are 4 components. So each and every game object has its own set of components. So that's why I told you the components define the game object. Without components, the game object is nothing, just empty. Okay. So remember these points. Again, the 4 points. There will be multiple scenes in a particular game. Every scene is a collection of game object. Whatever you see in the scene window is a game object. And a game object is a collection of components, lots of components. Not just 3, not just 4. Sometimes 10, 20 components. Okay. Depending on the need. Then a component is a collection of different settings and properties or modules. Okay. Now, in the smart city, I told you there are multiple game objects. You can select any game object using your mouse. Select any game object like this. That particular game object is highlighted in the hierarchy window that you can see here. Then in the inspector window, check the list of components. And by default, they are expanded like this. You can minimize the components by just clicking the small arrow or just click on the component name like this to minimize them and expand them. Click to expand or minimize like this. So there are 4 components right now with this particular 3D model. This is very, very important and fundamental concept to remember always. Not only in Unity, even if you use some other game engine like Unreal or any other game engine, this is the fundamental concept everywhere. Okay. So you should always remember these words: scene, game object, component. Okay. 3 words are very, very important. Any confusion till now? Any doubts you want to ask? So I'll give an example. There is a main camera. Okay. Main camera is a game object with 3 components. So what are those components? Transform, camera and audio listener. Now, I'm just giving a small task for you. Just open your Unity project. In the smart city scene, in the hierarchy window, you can go to the top. In the hierarchy window, you can see the main camera here. So select main camera. In the inspector window here, check how many components you see there. It should be 3: transform, camera, and audio listener. So please complete this small task. Open your project, open smart city scene, then select main camera and check the components in the inspector window. Just 1 minute you need for this complete. Any confusion in the step, let me know. Once you complete main camera, then select the next game object. That is light, directional light. That is also game object. Select it and check the list of components. It should be transform and light. Transform and light components are there. Please complete this step. If you're unable to do it, let me know. This is the first task we are actually executing on Unity software. Okay. That's why I recommended using 1:3 layout for everyone. It's very easy to work as a beginner. Later, you can use any layout that you are comfortable with. Okay. So select any game object in hierarchy. In the inspector window, check the list of components. You can just click on the component name to minimize it and expand it. These are small shortcuts we are learning. Okay. So any confusion with respect to checking the components for any game object, let me know. Fine. Just give 1 more minute. Please complete this task. So we'll explain the meaning of transform component, the other components. We'll explain the meaning of each and every component later. Okay. Those are very big topics. So we are just understanding and checking these 4 points. Okay. So in the scene, we can see lots of game object. When you select a game object, you can see the collection of components in the inspector window. But when you look inside a particular component, you can see collection of modules and properties. So every component has its own set of properties. Okay. So for example, when you actually look inside transform component, there are 3 properties: position, rotation, scale property. Okay. So every component has its own set of properties. This also you can check. So select any game object in hierarchy or scene, then go to the inspector window. Just look inside one of the components. You can see lots of properties. Example, you can check inside transform component. So I can select main camera in hierarchy. Then in the inspector window, I can click on the transform component to expand or minimize it. Then inside I can see 3 properties: position, rotation, scale properties. Same, if you look inside camera component, there are so many settings or properties available that actually defines the camera. Okay. The functionality of camera. Then audio listener, which has no property, just a component. So this is a fundamental concept everyone must know, okay, about scenes, game objects, components, and what is inside a component. Fine. So just let me know before I go to the next topic. That is hierarchy window. Okay. And we are going to create our own scene right now to test and how hierarchy window works. Right. Now, hierarchy window, okay, is where we actually manage all our game objects. Okay. So we manage all game objects that are used in scene view in hierarchy window. It means it is just a place where we organize the game object, because we are going to create a game environment in the scene window. Okay, by moving the object, placing the object, rotating the object, we are going to create one environment. But where to maintain the list of game object in a proper way, that is hierarchy window. And see the name, this name hierarchy means a proper order. So this is the window where we manage all the game object that are being used in the scene view. Okay. And when you say manage, it means add, remove, rename, and parenting game objects. So we add game objects, we remove game objects, we rename game objects, and we also do the parenting of game object. Means we create parent-child setup of game object. Okay, so all these things are done in the hierarchy window, because this is the place where we have to arrange the game object in a list, like a list. The actual design is done in the scene view. The actual visual design is done in the scene view. In the hierarchy window, we don't do any visual design, but it's just a list of game object for a better management, nothing else. Okay. So that's the meaning of hierarchy window. So I've given the definition from Unity manual here. You can read this. You can actually group game object like a parent child. You can add, remove, rename, whatever we can do in the hierarchy window. So both scene and hierarchy window are linked. Okay, that's a very, very important point. Both scene view and hierarchy window are linked in managing game objects. So both are doing the same job, but only thing is in scene view, you actually design the game by moving, rotating, placing. In hierarchy window, you simply maintain the list of game object for a proper management, because you'll be using hundreds of game object to design one environment. So how to maintain them in a proper order, like one by one, like parent child? That is where we introduce hierarchy window. Okay. So nothing special about this window, just a place where we manage game objects, nothing else. So now what I'm going to create, I'm going to create a new scene. We are going to get a new scene. We already have a smart window scene, smart city scene that will come back later. Let's create our own scene. Okay. And I hope all of you created all the project folders like I instructed yesterday. So don't say that you are not creating anything. Okay. Please follow the instruction properly. And yes, now we are going to create a new scene. Okay. Step is actually create a new scene called my first scene in scenes folder. Okay. That's the first step. So we want to create a scene called my first scene in scenes folder. How to create it? It's very simple. I'm putting the steps here. You can simply right click scenes folder, then go to create menu. In the create menu, click scene and rename it. That's the first step. It's a very simple step, and complete this, everyone. I can show you this one time. Check my window. Just open the project. In the assets folder, we got one scenes folder. Scenes folder. Simply right click on scenes folder, then go to create menu, then check for scene. It is there. Click on the scene and rename it my first scene and double click on it to open it. Double click on it to open it. So please complete this first step. Let me know if you need any help. That's the first step. So I'll just give 30 seconds, just 30 seconds for this step. I'll go to the next step after this. So if you need help, let me know. So right click on scenes folder, go to the create menu. In the create menu, look for scene and click on it. Then rename the scene as my first scene and open it. Double click and open it. When you open the scene, just notice in the hierarchy. Notice in the hierarchy, we got two game objects. We got two game objects, that is main camera and directional light. Means whenever you create a new scene, by default, these two game objects are added. Okay. We can remove it, we can rename it, not a problem. But these are by default, it is added to the scene. Okay. Please notice that in hierarchy window. Hierarchy window. Second step, complete this. Double click main camera. Double click main camera and notice what happens in the scene view. So once you create a scene, in the hierarchy, double click main camera and check what happens in the scene. So we just select main camera. Double click means you select and focus the main camera. So you can always double click any game object in hierarchy to select and focus it in the scene window. So select and focus any game, not only main camera, any game object by just double clicking on in the hierarchy window. In hierarchy window, you can just double click and you can see the select and focus any game object by double clicking it in hierarchy window. Now, right now we got only two game objects. You can double click light and check what happens. So just go to the project, double click light, check what happens. So we select and focus. So it's a simple shortcut. Okay. Simple shortcut, double click and select focus. Nothing else. Only two game objects are there. Now the scene is empty. There is no game object except main camera and light. There are no other game objects. We need to start building the scene. Whether you want to create a infinite runner game like Subway Surfer, whether you want to create a Angry Birds type of game, or whether you want to create a PUBG type of game. When you start a new scene, it's like this only, empty. It's a very big space. Scene view is a very big space with only two game objects by default. That is main camera and light. You need to start building the game depending on your design. Okay. So if you want to get a 3D game like a forest, you need to design the forest, placing the trees, placing that grass surface, okay, creating the sky, creating the light effects. You should create everything in the scene window by using the 3D models. Again, they are called game objects end of the day. Okay, you can simply drag and drop the 3D models from project window to scene window. Drag and drop. Then we can use the mouse and keyboard to move them, rotate them, and place them in a proper way. But right now it's empty. Let's add one cube. Okay, add a cube to scene. Now, how to add a cube? You can simply right click in hierarchy window. Right click in hierarchy window. Then go to 3D object menu. In the 3D object menu, click cube. That's a very simple step I can show you. We are going to add a cube to the scene. How to add a cube? Right click in hierarchy window. You see hierarchy window has lots of space. Inside hierarchy window, you can simply right click, then go to 3D object menu. There you can click on the cube. That is one way. The other way is actually, there is a plus icon in the hierarchy window. There is a plus icon in the hierarchy window. You can click on the plus icon, then go to the 3D object menu, then click cube. Both are correct. Either you can right click in hierarchy window, go to 3D object menu, then click cube or sphere or capsule, whatever, or click on the plus icon in the hierarchy window, go to 3D object menu, then click cube. Now check what happens. You got one cube added to the scene. That's the third step. Complete the third step. Any confusion, please ask me. Double click on cube to select and focus it. Double click on cube. Now it will be focused in the scene view. Zoom out. Fourth step, once you focus the cube, use the mouse scroll wheel to zoom out or zoom in. Practice that. So double click on cube, it will be focused. Then in the scene window, place the cursor in the scene window, then zoom out using the mouse scroll wheel, then zoom in. Just practice this small shortcut. Zoom out, zoom in. Then click anywhere in the scene window like this. To unselect the cube, you can just click anywhere in the scene window or anywhere in the hierarchy window. So fifth step. Fifth step, you just click anywhere in the scene window because scene view is a very big space. You can click anywhere in the empty space, or in the hierarchy window, you can click on the empty space to unselect the cube. Not only cube, any game object, you can unselect it. That's the fifth step. complete all 5 steps. If you have any confusion or doubts, please let me know. So first time you are actually using the Unity editor, we have to understand small things like focusing, unselecting, creating game objects. Okay. This is the first stage. Next, we should understand how to move the game object, how to rotate game object. Everything we should learn later. Okay. We should be familiar with the interface first. That's why we are creating this small task. Any confusion in the 5 steps from anyone? I hope everyone is following the instruction and completing it. If you are stuck somewhere, please let me know. Fine. Now let's add one more game object. Add a capsule to scene. Same process. You can right click in hierarchy window, go to 3D object menu, then click capsule. Click capsule. And you should see a capsule added in the scene as well as in the hierarchy. Then double click on capsule in hierarchy window to select and focus the capsule in the scene. So six steps we have just completed. So I can give you 1 more minute to complete the remaining steps. Anything you want to complete it. Fine. Next, we want to understand how to disable and enable game objects. This we can do later using the coding, okay, in the real time or dynamically. Right now, we are going to use the interface tools to disable and enable game objects. So during the designing, we want to enable and disable game objects. Okay, that can be done easily in the inspector window. So inspector window is where we can see the settings about every game object. Okay, you can select anything. It will be the inspector window display the details of that particular game object or asset. Okay, that's why it's called inspect. The meaning, you can see the word inspect means select anything in the project or scene or hierarchy. The inspector window will show the details of that particular game object or the particular asset. Nothing. So we can add, remove components in inspector window. Okay, that's very easy window. Now let's go to the 7th step. We want to disable and enable game object. So how to disable or enable game object? It's very simple. So select cube in hierarchy or scene. Just click and select, nothing. Click and select. Once you select the cube or thing, in the inspector window, we can just disable this. where check my screen. I can select cube here. Let me create the capsule first. Right click in hierarchy, 3D object menu, then capsule. Both are in the same position right now. That's not a problem. Later we will learn how to move them. So now both capsule and cube in the same position. I can double click on capsule to focus it, then zoom out using the mouse scroll wheel. Double click on cube to focus it, then scroll out. Now we want to disable the cube, right? Select cube. Then in the inspector, you can see the name of the game object here, the cube. Then near the name of the game object, there is a checkbox, this box. You can disable this box to disable the game object. Same, I can select capsule in the inspector. This is the name of the capsule, the name text field. Then uncheck this box to disable the. So this is called disabling the game object in Unity editor. Later, we can write a code to complete this kind of task. Okay. So disable. How to enable? Select the game object again in the hierarchy, then check this box. Check this box. Simple. Okay. So uncheck. That's the top. In the top, you can see the name as well as there's a checkbox. Right? How to enable it? Select cube again in hierarchy, or in the scene you cannot select. Right now in the scene you cannot select the cube because it is not visible in the scene. It is completely disabled. So you can select only in the hierarchy because it's already disabled. In the inspector window, check the cube name box. Check cube name box to enable. Enable cube in scene. That's important. In scene. Very simple shortcut, enabling, disabling game object. Just using the checkbox, we can do it. So any confusion in this shortcut, let me know. Sometimes you want to select multiple game objects and disable them in one go. Okay. So how to select multiple game objects in hierarchy and disable them? It's a Windows shortcut, right? You press and hold Control. Okay. Press and hold Control key and select cube, capsule, directional light. Just for example, okay. We can select any number of game object. Right now we can select only 3. Directional light. Then in the inspector, uncheck the box and uncheck name box in inspector. Very simple. So press and hold Control key and select cube, capsule, light one by one. Then uncheck them in the inspector. So I can do that. Press and hold Control key. Then 1, 2, 3. Then uncheck this box here. Done. All gone. The reverse process to enable it again, you can enable them one by one, or again press and hold Control 1, 2, 3. To uncheck also same. Suppose you selected camera accidentally, you can uncheck the camera using the Control key. Press and hold Control, uncheck. Only 3 is what I need right now. So enable them. So these are very basic and fundamental skills when learning game engines. Okay. It seems very simple, but these are very fundamental concepts. We should never forget. So that's why I'm actually going very slow and giving all the steps one by one. Complete this. Even if you're unable to follow right now, please complete the steps by watching the video later. And you can always reach out to me for any clarifications. Okay, don't miss this. Now delete cube. So how to delete? Simply select cube and delete. So either in scene window, select cube in scene view or hierarchy, whatever. Hierarchy. And press delete key. Delete. Simple. You can select cube in scene view or in hierarchy, then press delete key. Suppose you have deleted it and you want the cube back. You want the cube back in the scene, press Ctrl Z. That's a Windows shortcut anyway, we know that, to undo the action. Okay, so I can just go and select cube, either in scene or hierarchy, select it, then delete. Using the delete key, I can delete it. It's gone. I want the cube back, means press Ctrl Z to bring it back. Undo, nothing else. I can select and capsule, remove it. If I want it back, Ctrl Z is the undo action. Simple. So we added the game objects, we enabled them, disabled them. Next, we are going to add and remove components. Add and remove components in the game object. Because components are essential. Okay, they define the game objects. Without components, game objects are nothing. They are empty. Okay, that's what I told you earlier. So how to add and remove components in a game object? In this example, we can use the cube. Okay, so select cube in scene or hierarchy, whatever way. Just click and select. Then in the inspector window, okay, we are going to remove one component one by one. There are four components. We want to remove all four, but you cannot remove transform component. So transform component cannot be removed. It is the default component for every game object. It will be there always. Okay, but you can remove the other three components because cube has four components. So before you do the removing or adding, please check how many components are there in cube. So select cube, then in the inspector, check how many components are there. I told you, if you want to minimize or expand the component, just click on the name of the component to expand or minimize it. Expand or minimize like this. Okay. Now you can disable capsule for now. Select capsule and disable it. We want only cube right now. So select cube, then in the inspector, check the number of components. There are four components. Okay. Just complete this. So check that there are four components. Let us remove the components one by one. As I told you, how to remove component, please check my screen. You simply right click on the component here. Simply right click and you can remove. But the transform component cannot be removed. So you won't find remove option. But I can remove other components. For example, the mesh filter. I can right click on mesh filter and I can see remove component option. Or you can click on the three dots in the mesh filter component. the three dots here to bring that menu and remove component. So whichever way you feel comfortable, do it. I can always right click on the particular component like this and remove component and see what's happening to the cube here. So I'll explain the meaning of the components later. But when you remove the components, the game object loses the context and meaning. You can see that it is nothing now. So I can remove the mesh renderer. Then I can remove box collider. All three components are gone. Now it is just an empty game object. It has no meaning. It is not a cube right now because we removed all the essential components. If you want to bring it back, we can add a component, okay, that we do shortly. So please complete this step. Remove all components except, okay. So right click, cube mesh filter component and click remove component. Click remove component. So in the inspector window, check there are 4 components. Simply right click on the mesh filter component, then click remove component. So remove mesh renderer, and box collider 3D component. So transform component cannot be removed. Why? We'll explain that later. Okay, it is very, very important component in game programming. Whether you play PUBG game or a car racing game or Angry Birds, whatever game you play, without the transform component, you cannot imagine creating those games. Okay, it's a very, very important and fundamental component. Okay, so I'll explain that later. So that's why it cannot be removed from the game object. It will be always there. So remove the components. Now the cube is empty, nothing. It has no value. Okay, because see, that's why I told you, components define game object. Components define game object. Without game components, it has no context and meaning for a game object, nothing. Then how to add the components back? So we want to add the 3 more components one by one. We can add it. Okay. So you won't get the original cube like you saw the white color cube. You won't get immediately. We'll give you the reason for that, but we can actually get the cube back with the different color, whatever. So how to add the component? Again, select cube in scene view. Again, you cannot select in the scene view because it is invisible, nothing. You can select only in the hierarchy window. So select cube in hierarchy window. Again, go to the inspector window. In the inspector window, you can see one button called add component button. Okay, add component. So select cube. There's an add component button. Click on the add component. Then there's a search box. You can search for the 3 components one by one. For example, mesh filter. Mesh filter, that's the first one. Again, click add component. Search for mesh renderer. Then again, click add component. Search for box collider. Box collider, not 2D, just box collider. Okay, just box collider. Now you see we got the cube back, but not the original cube. Okay, because the shape is missing. Okay, first add the components, then let me explain that. So click add component. Click add component button. Then search and add. Search and add 3 components. One is mesh filter. Then second, mesh renderer. And third, box collider. We can add more components later, but this is what defines a cube, the fundamental components. But any number of components can be added depending on the purpose. So we just want to add the 3 components, but the original cube that we saw, like a white color cube, it is not available right now. When you select the cube only, you can see that green color lines in the scene window. So select cube in the hierarchy and check the green color lines in the scene window. There is no shape. There is no visual property for the cube right now. So please complete this step 11 and 12. Let me know if you need any help. So you just click on the add component button. There is a search box. You just search mesh filter, mesh renderer, and box. No need to type the full name of the component. Just type mesh. You will get the list. Then select mesh filter. Same for just type box. You will get box filter. Select. And we got all 3 components back. But we lost the actual visual cube that is not there. We can see only the green lines. The green lines are also visible when you select the cube in hierarchy. If you don't select cube in hierarchy, you won't even see that green lines. This not means the cube is there, but it has no visual property. Nothing. It is invisible. That's the meaning of it. So 13th step, even though we added all the components back, we are unable to see the cube. It is invisible because it has no, the mesh, the shape is not there. The shape is not there. It is missing. So how to add the shape back to the cube? We can easily choose a cube mesh, that is cube shape, in the mesh filter component. In the mesh filter component. So it means click mesh filter component to expand it. Mesh filter component to expand. And inside mesh filter component, you can see one box. So let me check my screen, everyone. I can select cube. In the mesh filter component, it is none. Means it's saying there is no shape. There is no mesh or shape. That's why it's saying none. I can click to expand it. It is asking for the mesh or shape. So how to assign a mesh or shape, right? It is none right now, nothing. I can click on this box or click on this small circle in that box. Okay. You can click on the small circle in that mesh box. It will bring one select mesh window. There are lots of shapes available. You can see. We want only cube right now, right? So instead of scrolling down and looking for cube, you can always use the search box. In the search box, type cube. There you can see cube shape. Just select it or double click on it. I can repeat this. When you select a cube in the mesh filter component, there is a mesh box. It is asking for the shape. Click on the small circle. That is actually slide button. That is actually called a slide button. Click on the small circle here to bring this select mesh box. There you can see lots of shapes available. You can use the search box here at the top, search for cube and select cube. Double click on it. That's it. Now we lost the color. It was white, but it's pink right now. That is a different issue that we can deal with later. but we got the cube, the visual cube again in the same window. So mesh filter means the shape of the object, nothing. So click mesh filter. In mesh box, click circle icon, search for cube and select in search mesh window. That's it. Just 14 steps we want to follow. If you're unable to follow right now, please follow all 14 steps one by one by watching the video. Okay. Creating the objects, removing objects, disabling objects, okay, and adding components, removing components. These are small practice. Any confusion or doubts from anyone, please ask me. Right. You can do this later also, but make sure everyone follow this. Everyone be familiar with this particular small tasks. And I have listed 4 more tasks here that should complete later after the class or by tomorrow class. Please complete all 4 tasks. Again, a very simple task I have given. Just read the steps and complete it. And if you need any help, please contact me. I can help you. So task 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, these are tasks to be familiarized with, the shortcuts, keyboard shortcut keys, like copying the assets, duplicating the assets, like that. So please complete all 4 tasks that you can do later. So once you complete these things, you will have some confidence and familiarity, with this Unity interface. Okay. So we are not learning the functionality of the Windows yet. We are just defining the meaning of the Windows right now. The functionality of each and every Windows we are going to learn in the coming classes. Okay. Further, I have to explain a little bit of math, your school math, like coordinate system. 3D coordinate system is what I want to explain. That is next. That is fundamental concept, because game programming is more of math and physics. Okay. You should understand physics concept and math concept. Mostly the school math that we actually learned, right? This one, vectors, matrix, and more importantly, this coordinate systems, x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. So those are very fundamental concepts in game development. Okay. So I'll just give you 1 or 2 minutes. If you want, you can take time to practice these 14 steps. Maybe 5 minutes. After that, I can start the next topic. At 8:10, I can start the next topic. Just 5 minutes break, just to practice. Anything missing, please practice it. And let me know if you need anything, let me know. So I can start the scene navigation, because you are going to work in the scene window most of the time. You should understand what is scene navigation, means how to rotate or how to move inside scene and everything. So this article, you can read this later, you can copy this and paste it here. But only we're going to use only 3 simple controls. Okay. So how to zoom in, zoom out, how to orbit the scene, and how to fly through in the scene. Okay. So everything is listed in this particular article. You can check this later. I just give you all the shortcuts, right? So just type all the shortcuts first, then let me see this. The same way you play the games on your PC, you can just use the 4 keys, WASD, WASD keys to fly through in the scene view. And first you have to press and hold right mouse button, that you should always keep it. Don't release the right mouse button. Then you can press and hold to W to move forward, or S to move back. Okay. Or backward, A to left, D to right. So before that, zoom in and zoom out is very easy. First open your scene, smart city scene. Okay. Open smart city scene from your assets smart city folder. Smart city folder, open smart city scene. So let me do that. In the assets, I can see smart city folder. Inside smart city folder, there's a smart city scene, the last one. Double click on it to open it. When you double click, it will ask you to save the current scene. Okay. If you have not saved the current scene, you should save it if you want it. I can click save button to save the current scene. Save it. Then zoom out first. Okay. So double click on smart city parent, check what happens. Okay. So double click smart city parent in hierarchy, that is this one, and check what happens. It's a parent game object for all the object in the scene. You can actually focus, select and focus it in the scene view. Then zoom in, zoom out using mouse scroll wheel. So these shortcuts you should be familiar. That's the reason I gave you this smart city scene. Zoom in and zoom out like this. So don't skip any step, okay? Please complete all the steps. Once you open the smart city scene, first thing is double click smart city parent in the hierarchy. Then expand smart city parent. Expand smart city parent in hierarchy. Means just click on the small arrow to expand it. There you can see multiple children inside smart city parent. So in the hierarchy, when I click on the small arrow here, I can expand the smart city parent. There I can see multiple children starting from road, park, everything. Now double click on road, check what happens. then double click on park. Means we are focusing the particular group of game object. But inside park, we got multiple other game objects. Okay, that we do later. So double click on air balloon. Select and focus. Like this. So expand smart city parent in hierarchy. Then double click each child and check what happens in the to select and focus. To select and focus. So these shortcuts you should be practicing. Okay. So inside smart city, I can double click on road, park. So double click, check everything one by one. It is focusing the particular game object. Or if you don't want to double click, okay, if you don't want to double click on anything in the hierarchy, what you can do, or select that particular object in hierarchy, then press F to focus it. Okay, so select a game object in hierarchy, then press F. Press F on your keyboard, F key to focus it. So example, select road. I can say select park, something like that. Just for example, but you can do other things like park and press F. So I'm putting lots of steps today. Please go through the video and practice each and everything. So I can select park in hierarchy, then press F on the keyboard like this, or you can double click on the park. Both are correct. So select and F. That is also correct. Like this. Or double clicking is also correct. But when you double click, it's actually from a distance. If you want to go near, press F. Okay. Means again, it's a focus only, not much. You can actually focus like this. You can go near. Okay. So double click selects, but if you want to go near and check, you can always press F like this. Then if you want to zoom out, you can zoom out using the scroll key. So focus is, F means focus. You can go closer to the object, nothing. So complete these small things. Zoom in, zoom out is very easy. Orbiting scene, you should try. Okay, I have put this shortcut. Check what happens when you follow this instruction. So I can show you what is orbit. Means you just orbit the entire scene. What's the shortcut for orbiting? Press and hold Alt key and press and hold left mouse button both at the same time. Then simply move the mouse. Slowly move the mouse. Okay. So I can just go double click on this parent first. Then press and hold Alt. Then left mouse button. You see the icon changes. When I press and hold Alt, then press and hold left mouse button both. Then slowly move the mouse like this. This is called orbiting. This is called orbiting. Keep on moving the mouse, not a problem. You can just keep on moving mouse either vertically or horizontally. Move means don't move like 1 meter or 2 meter. Just move a little bit, like 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter on your table, like this. Keep moving. This is called orbiting. You can move the mouse either vertically, like up and down, or left and right, like this. But you should press and hold both Alt button and Alt key and left mouse button. Then slowly move the mouse. This you should practice. Okay. Again, very fundamental and important shortcut. Please practice this. Because this, I cannot show you everything in video. You should practice and get this thing done. Initially, it won't be good for you to practice. Okay. You won't feel it comfortable, but it's a practice you should do. Slowly move the mouse like this, orbiting. Either horizontally or vertically, you can move the mouse. So if you are playing lots of PC games, then you know how to move the mouse slowly. That's one more shortcut I'm just giving. Orbiting scene. So you should watch the video later, complete this. And third is fly through mode. Fly through mode is again a very fun way to actually navigate the entire scene window. It's like a playing game. It's like playing a PUBG type of game. It's very simple. What you have to do, press and hold right mouse button. Then you can use any 4 of this button to move like you do in the game. Okay, I can show you. In the scene window, press and hold right mouse button. Okay, see, as soon as you press and hold right mouse button, check what happens. There you can see 4 small key marks. W, A, S, D, like that. So when I press W, I'll go forward. You can move the mouse to change the direction. Same like playing the game. You can move the mouse to change the direction. Then I can press S to go back, to move backward. Again, rotate the mouse slowly to change the direction. Again, go forward by pressing W. Then to stop, then go. Mean you should press and hold right mouse button, then press and hold W to move forward. When you release W, you won't move. When you again press and hold W, you will move. Same like playing the games, okay? And slowly rotate the mouse. Move the mouse to change the direction of the movement. So anyone who plays PUBG game or any COD game, they will understand this shortcut very easily. Then A means go left, D means right from the current position. You can actually move the mouse to change direction of your movement. Same like playing the games, go back like this. Now go to the park at the bottom like this. You can play like a game. So right now you're in the park. Look at, now you want to go towards one of the air balloons. So look at the air balloon like this. Again, move the mouse up, then press W to go to the air balloon. Then from there, you can look down. Again, move the mouse slowly. Now I want to go to some building, any one building. So I can go to this building, particular building, move the mouse accordingly to change the direction. So from here, I want to go to one more air balloon, maybe this one. I can go up, forward. Means you should move the mouse slowly according to the direction of movement. It's very easy. So play this like a game. Move to different parts of the city. That's what fly through mode is what. So please practice all these things. Okay. So if you have any confusion or doubt or difficulty, contact me immediately. I can help you out. So there are multiple other shortcuts available that we cannot cover, not necessary for our AR VR classes. Okay. This much is enough. Just practice all these things again and again to get familiar with the interface, creating components, removing components, everything. Okay. Now, if you have any doubts or anything else you want to ask me, please ask. I put all the notes here. I told you there are 4 tasks you should complete. That also I put here. Task 1, 2, up to 4. Please complete all 4 tasks. And you should move the imported asset to models folder. Just drag and drop. So when you download an asset from asset store, it is actually stored in the assets folder, but it should be into the models folder. Simply drag and drop. Okay. So task 4 you should complete, because you already know in the video I already showed you how to download the car pack. Now I'm asking you to download the low poly rocks pack. So if you're not sure, again watch the video, that particular video. In the help documents Unity folder, there is one download asset from Unity asset store. Watch this video again. The same process is what you're going to repeat in task 4, but different asset. Download, import, then move them into models folder. So I'll give you lots of other assets in the coming classes. You can download many assets from the asset store, third-party website. We are going to see that. Okay. Once you are familiar with this particular interface, then I can teach the actual game programming concept, like creating the scenes, okay, and creating the code and everything. We can learn one by one. So if you are not familiar with this, it's very difficult to go forward. So please, small things we have completed today. Practice that. Any doubts or confusions from anyone? Okay, that's it from my side today. We still have time. Okay, you can share your screen if you want to ask anything. You can share your screen and we can see that. If you're still having issues with the project or issues with the installation of anything, that we can actually correct right now. Fine, no doubts. Okay, then everything is good then. So you can leave. Okay, if you don't have doubts, you can leave. Very good, very good. So please go and practice. Within 30 minutes, you'll get the video. Notes, it's already there. Notes, it's already there in the notes folder. I will post the meeting summary. Within 10 minutes, I'll give you the meeting summary also. Okay. So we might be going slow, or you feel that it's more of theoretical concept, but it has to be completed. No other way. Because generally what people think, right? When you say AR, VR, you cannot start developing like some AR, VR application from day one. Not possible. Okay. Some will teach you like that, but it is no use for you, because later you cannot create your own projects later if you don't know these concepts. That's why I always go this route by teaching the fundamentals. Once we complete fundamentals, maybe tomorrow I'll complete this theory part, then everything will be smooth and fun. Okay. So I'll give you lots of sample scenes. Like Smart City, I'm going to give you lots of sample scenes tomorrow. I'll give you one good task also tomorrow, again to make you familiar with the entire interface and everything. If you complete that task, everything will be fine. You no need to worry about anything in the interface part. Fine. If no doubts, you can leave. Okay. We'll meet again tomorrow with another topic. And I'm always available for any of your doubt clarifications. Please message me in the WhatsApp, or you can schedule a meeting with me. Okay. Fine. So no doubts means you can leave. If you have doubts, you can ask me.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, everyone. I am still here. If you want, you can ask me anything.